1968. Stanford, California. Inside the Bing Nursery School, a 4-year-old boy sits alone at a small table. A researcher places a single marshmallow in front of him. Then he leaves the room and closes the door. 1 marshmallow now, or 2 if the researcher returned. The child stares at the treat, he lifts it, he smells it, he puts it back, his fingers hover over it. 20 seconds pass, then a minute. The camera records every movement. This scene played out hundreds of times in the late 1960s and early 70s. It became the most famous test in the history of psychology. Its name was the Stanford Marshmallow experiment. Its creator was psychologist Walter Mischel. Mischel was born on February 22, 1930, in Vienna, Austria. In 1938, his family fled Europe and settled in New York. He studied psychology, and he doubted the way personality was measured. Before Stanford, he spent 2 years in Trinidad watching children choose between a small candy now and a larger one later. Mischel noticed something. The children who waited tended to trust the adults who made the promise. That observation became the seed of the marshmallow test. In 1968, he brought the idea to Stanford University's Bing Nursery School. The children there were mostly the sons and daughters of professors, aged 3 to 5. The procedure never changed. A child sat at a table with 1 treat, usually a marshmallow. The researcher promised a second one if the child waited until the return. Then the researcher left. The wait could last 15 minutes, and the camera never stopped rolling. What the children did in that room became legend. About a third ate within moments. About a third held out for the full 15 minutes. The rest fell somewhere in between. The children who succeeded did not simply grit their teeth. They built tiny private rituals. Some covered their eyes. Some turned their chairs away from the table. Some sang, some talked to themselves, some played games with their hands. One boy pushed the marshmallow to the far edge of the table and stared at the wall. Mischel watched the tapes and found a pattern. Children who focused on the taste of the marshmallow gave in quickly. Children who treated the marshmallow as a picture, a cloud, or a fake object waited much longer. The trick was not willpower. The trick was attention. He called this the hot and cool system. The hot system is fast and emotional, and it wants the marshmallow now. The cool system is slow and rational, and it can look away. Children who waited had learned to cool down a hot situation by changing how they thought about the object. Then the experiment took a strange turn. It stopped being about marshmallows and started being about the future. In 1990, Mischel and his colleagues tracked down the original children, now teenagers around 18 years old. Their parents were asked to rate them. The results seemed extraordinary. The children who had waited longest at age 4 scored higher on the SAT. They coped better with stress and were described as more focused. Later studies added more claims. The waiters grew into adults with lower body mass. They finished more school and stayed out of trouble. One girl from the nursery grew up to lead YouTube. Her name was Susan Wojcicki. Her mother later wrote in a 2019 book that a researcher told the family that Susan had waited the full 15 minutes, longer than anyone. The story felt like proof. Self-control predicted success. The idea swept the culture. Teachers quoted it. Parents repeated it. Books told readers to become the child who waits. The marshmallow test appeared in TED Talks, business seminars, and government programs. But there was a problem hidden inside the famous study. The children of Bing Nursery School were not a picture of America. They were children of professors from comfortable homes with full refrigerators. The study was small, narrow, and for decades nobody checked. The check finally came in 2018. 3 researchers, Tyler Watts, Greg Duncan, and Heian and Kwan, published a new version of the test. They used a much larger sample, about 900 children, drawn from a national study. Then they added the controls that Mischel never had. Family income, mother's education, early language skills, the quality of the home environment. Once those factors were in the model, the marshmallow effect mostly disappeared. Wait time still predicted a few things, like body weight at 15. But the great link between self-control and success was mostly explained by background. The children who waited were not stronger. They were luckier. The 2018 study forced a new question. Why did the poor children eat the marshmallow? The old answer was weakness. The new answer was logic. If food is scarce today, the smart move is to eat what is in front of them. If promises have been broken before, the rational choice is to take what can be held. Waiting is a wager, and the children who wait are betting that the world will pay out. A separate experiment made the point. In 2013, researchers at the University of Rochester added a twist. Before the marshmallow test, an adult made a promise and broke it for half the children. Those who saw the promise broken waited about 3 minutes. Those who saw it kept waited about 12. The same children, the same marshmallows, only trust had changed. What nobody knew, for years, was that the test measured trust as much as self-control. That is the quiet revision taught in psychology courses today. Self-control is real. It can be trained, and it matters. But it grows on the ground that opportunity provides. A child's patience is partly a mirror of the world around the child. Mischel lived long enough to watch his famous test rise, fall, and rise again with new meaning. He published his book, The Marshmallow Test, in 2014, and he kept defending the core finding. He died on September 12, 2018, in his home in Manhattan at the age of 88. His tapes still exist. The children in them are adults now, with jobs and families. The marshmallows are gone, the rooms are empty. But the question the test left behind has never been answered, because it was never really about sweets. It was about whether the future can be trusted. Mischel believed self-control can be learned, not inherited.